the technical approach. For instance, they have maybe not the best machines, but the machines are for years, to be used for years. My grandpa used to have a Russian refrigerator which was called Saratov, and I was really always, when I was little and I came to him to visit, I was always shocked by these Cyrillic letters and so on, Saratov and so on. I was amazed and so on. And this refrigerator was frightfully noisy, but was functioning in a capital way, never broke, and was serving fantastically for over 40 years. Now give me any German or Japanese refrigerator today which could do that. Of course, the technical approach that things are supposed to broke, and you are supposed to buy a new one. This whole philosophy of making technical things changed, but the Russians still do some things, some technical products, in such a way so they would never broke. Like for instance, like we had in World War II, there was a Battle of Kursk. The Russian tanks were not as good as the German Panthers or Tigers, but they could operate even they had engines totally caked with mud and garbage and so on, and they were still functioning. So it was not the problem that some particle of sand got into the motor or something. It was not a problem. The motor was constructed in such a way that it wouldn't harm it. The same is today when you have F-22 or F-16, whatever, American aeroplane, military fighter, and you have an airport, and the people who are operating the machines, they secure the total clearing of and cleaning of all the installation and so on, and they take care, they get rid of all the garbage accumulated on the airport platform and so on. They always do that because this garbage could go into the ventilation system of the aeroplane and cause some serious damage. The Russian planes, even the most modern ones like Sukhoi 27 or Sukhoi 35 or slightly less modern MiG 29 are functioning in such a way they are supposed to be caked with garbage and so on. They are not getting rid of the garbage from the starting or landing area. Far from that. They are constructed the planes in such a way so they could absorb some of these things and still function. And this is the way the Russian motors are still doing. And for instance, you can buy an expensive, very comfortable Geländewagen, car vehicle to the terrain and so on. But you can also buy not comfortable Lada Nifa, which would never broke, because the engine and the whole machinery is so simple that there's even almost nothing to be broken. So this idea, and the Russians are to some extent also very innovative and inventive. So in this way, so they just make complicated things simpler, which is some sort of talent, and we can appreciate it. What's interesting for me when the students were presenting Russian characteristics of the Russian nation, they have, for instance, when I compared it to the lecture about the Americans, I have observed that whereas in the American case most of the characteristics were in this column neutral, controversial things and controversial features, this time students knew perfectly well if they are criticizing or praising some elements of Russian culture or way of thinking, way of life, and so on. So they understood Russians better, I would say. They knew what to criticize. They knew what. In America, there was so many alternative things that the Americans